Listen to this. You may feel like the world has given you every reason to stop, every reason to doubt yourself, every reason to stay small, every reason to wait for a safer moment. Yet here you are, still breathing, still thinking, still sensing that somewhere inside you, a quieter truth remains. That truth is not loud, but is real. You are not meant to disappear inside the weight of what hurt you. You are not meant to live as though fear owns your tomorrow. The Creator has placed in you a deeper strength than your tired thoughts can measure. Breathe with me for a moment. You have carried disappointment long enough to know its shape. You know the heaviness of delay, the sting of doors that did not open, the ache of plans that changed, the quiet shame that says maybe you should stop hoping. But listen carefully. Delay is not the same as defeat. Closed doors are not always rejection. Sometimes they are protection. Sometimes the path that paused you is keeping you from pain you could not yet see. Your life is not a list of mischances. It is a story still being written with care. Remember this truth. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the choice to move gently while fear is still speaking. You do not need to become fearless before you begin again. You only need to become honest. Honest about what has worn you down. Honest about what still matters. Honest about the part of you that refuses to let every setback become your identity. There is wisdom in refusing to let one hard season define your whole life. There is wisdom in taking your next step with trembling hands and a steady heart. You may have told yourself that trying again would be foolish because the last time hurt so much. That makes sense. Your heart learned from pain. It remembers. It protects. It flinches before it trusts. But your flinching does not mean you are broken beyond repair. It means you are human. It means you have survived enough to become cautious. Now you're learning something deeper than caution. You are learning discernment. Discernment does not say everyone is safe. It does not say every road is right. It says you can listen, pause, and choose with more peace than panic. Feel it in your soul. There's a difference between being tired and being finished. Exhaustion can whisper, "Stop here." Wisdom can whisper, "Rest here, then rise." You need to know the difference. Some of what you call quitting is only your body asking for mercy. Some of what you call weakness is only your spirit asking for space. Give yourself that space. Rest is not betrayal of your purpose. It is often the way your purpose survives. The Creator does not ask you to keep breaking just to prove commitment. You are allowed to pause without abandoning your future. Maybe you have been waiting for the perfect sign, the perfect feeling, the perfect spark of certainty. But life rarely gives perfect conditions. It gives honest moments. It gives enough light for one decision. It gives enough grace for one breath. It gives enough strength for one more step. That is often how hope returns. Not in a thunderstorm, but in a quiet decision to keep going. Not in a grand speech, but in a simple, whispered yes. Not in a sudden transformation, but in a small return to what still matters. Listen to this. The fact that you still care is evidence that something in you has not gone numb. The fact that you still wonder is evidence that hope has not left the room. The fact that you still feel pain proves that your heart is alive, not lost. There is sacred work happening in that aliveness. You are being refined by what did not destroy you. You are being shaped by what you survived. The rough edges of your story are not there to shame you. They are there to remind you that your life has depth, and depth can become wisdom. Breathe with me for a moment. When you look at the road ahead, maybe it seems too long, too uncertain, too demanding. Maybe you think you do not have enough energy to begin again. But you do not need all the energy you wish you had. You only need enough for the next true step. One honest step is powerful. One clear choice is powerful. One gentle refusal to keep repeating what drains you is powerful. Do not underestimate the quiet power of a single aligned move. Big change usually arrives dressed as small obedience. You may have spent so much time trying not to disappoint others that you forgot to ask what disappoints your own soul. That is a painful place to live. When the voice of approval becomes louder than the voice of truth, the heart grows tired. It starts to perform rather than live. It starts to comply rather than choose. It starts to survive in ways that slowly erase its own shape. Hear this gently. You are not here to become a mask. You are here to become a person whose life feels whole from the inside out. Remember this truth. What feels safe in the moment is not always what supports you in the long run. Old habits can feel comforting because they are familiar, not because they are good for you. A room can feel known and still be too small for your growth. A pattern can feel normal and still be slowly draining your spirit. This is why courage matters. Courage lets you question what you have always accepted. Courage says maybe I can live differently. Courage says maybe I can choose what restores me, even if it is unfamiliar. There is a reason you keep returning to this message. It may be because some part of you is ready to release the story that says you are too late, too wounded, too tired, too far behind. That story is not your truth. It is only a story born from pain. Your real story includes endurance. Your real story includes learning. Your real story includes moments when you wanted to quit and still somehow stayed. That staying matters. It means your spirit is stronger than the narrative of defeat. It means there is still room for hope. Feel it in your soul. You're not being asked to prove your worth by suffering forever. You're not being asked to earn peace through endless strain. You're being invited to step out of the harsh inner voice that keeps demanding more from you than love would ever demand. Love does not humiliate. Love does not mock small beginnings. Love does not force you to run when you need to breathe. The Creator has placed in you a deep capacity to heal, but healing is gentler than punishment. Let healing lead. Maybe you have blamed yourself for not trying sooner, harder, faster, or smarter. Maybe you have carried regret like a stone in your chest. But regret can only guide you if you let it become wisdom instead of a prison. Ask what it is teaching. Ask where you ignored your own needs. Ask where fear kept you still. Ask where you settled because change felt costly. These questions are not accusations. They are invitations. They invite you to stop repeating pain by becoming more aware. Awareness is often the first bridge out of a painful cycle. Listen to this. Some of your strongest limitations are made of thoughts you no longer need to keep believing. I cannot. It is too late. I always fail. Nothing changes. I should just accept this. These sentences can become habits if left untouched. But a habit can be challenged. A habit can be replaced. A habit can loosen its grip when truth is repeated with patience. You're allowed to speak differently to yourself. You are allowed to tell your own mind a better story. You are allowed to choose hope over habitual defeat. You do not have to become extraordinary to become free. You only need to become truthful. Truth is freeing because it ends the hidden war. It says yes to what supports life and no to what slowly steals it. It stops negotiating with what harms your peace. It stops calling numbness contentment. It stops calling exhaustion normal. The moment you tell the truth about what is draining you, something in you begins to stand up again. Not all at once, not dramatically, but truly. And truth, once welcomed, can carry you farther than force ever could. Breathe with me for a moment. Imagine your life not as a punishment to endure, but as a garden that needs care. Some parts need sunlight. Some need pruning. Some need water. Some need rest. Some need compost from the things that died and should not stay. You do not hate a garden in a bloom. You tend it. You notice it. You remove what chokes it. You protect what is tender. Your life deserves that same kind of tenderness. You're not a problem to be fixed. You are a life to be tended with wisdom. Maybe part of why you have not tried again is because trying has come to mean exposing yourself to disappointment. If so, let the definition change. Trying does not have to mean throwing yourself at every possibility with no protection. Try can mean one careful step, one protected yes, one boundary, one honest conversation, one quiet reset. You do not have to leap into the unknown blindly to be brave. Bravery can be measured. Bravery can be calm. Bravery can be a hand on the door while the heart asks if it is safe to open. Remember this truth. Your future is not built by perfect momentum. It is built by repeated returns to what is good. You return to your values. You return to your peace. You return to your body. You return to your deeper knowing. You return when fear pulls you away. You return when distraction scatters you. You return when shame tells you to disappear. Every return is a kind of victory. Every return says, I am still here. I am still willing. I am still becoming. That kind of persistence is sacred, even when it feels quiet. There may be seasons when progress looks small enough to embarrass you, but small progress is still progress. A calmer reaction, a better night's sleep, a cleaner boundary, a moment of courage, a truthful apology, a decision not to go back to what empties you. These are not insignificant. They are the signs of a life turning gently toward health. Give them honor. Do not only celebrate the dramatic, celebrate the steady. The steady is where transformation often lives. It is where your future learns how to trust your hand again. Feel it in your soul. Perhaps the deepest reason you have every reason not to try is because trying would force you to believe that change is possible. And if change is possible, then you cannot keep using the past as an excuse to stay where you are. That can be frightening. Change asks something of you. It asks for honesty, surrender, patience, and effort, but also gives something back. It gives dignity. It gives a breath of fresh air. It gives room for the person you have been longing to become. Let change ask its question. There is no shame in needing time. There is no shame in needing support. There is no shame in learning slowly. The Creator is not asking for performance. The Creator is honoring your process. So do not add cruelty to your already tired heart. Speak more kindly to yourself. Speak as if your life matters, because it does. Speak as if your hope is worth protecting, because it is. Speak as if your next step could lead somewhere healing, because it can. The words you repeat in private become part of the weather your soul lives in. Listen to this. Some things you keep calling failure are actually incomplete attempts. That may sound small, but it matters. Failure says the story is over. Incomplete says the story is still forming. Incomplete leaves room. It leaves room for learning, for adjusting, for returning, for wiser effort. If your life has felt incomplete, that does not mean it is ruined. It means it is still being shaped. And being shaped can feel messy while it happens. Do not mistake mess for meaninglessness. What is being formed is not worthless. It is simply not finished yet. You may have feared that trying again would expose your limits. It might. But limits are not humiliation. Limits are information. They tell you where you need rest, help, patience, or a new approach. A wise heart does not despise limits. It learns from them. It builds around them. It respects them. It lets them become guides rather than judges. The Creator has not given you limits to shame you. They are there to teach you how to live with balance. When honored, they can become the boundaries that keep your life healthy and your energy clear. Breathe with me for a moment. What if your next step did not have to be huge to matter? What if it only had to be honest? You do not need a dramatic reinvention to begin. You need one sincere decision. One place where you stop pretending. One place where you stop waiting for permission. One place where you stop calling fear wisdom. Even a small step taken with clarity can reshape your direction. Do not wait for the perfect emotional atmosphere. Begin where you are, with what you have, in the middle of what feels uncertain. Remember this truth. The moments you most want to hide from are often the moments that contain the most learning. Not because pain is good, but because pain can clarify what matters. It can reveal what is unsustainable. It can reveal who you become under pressure. It can reveal whether a dream is still alive. It can reveal the difference between a habit and a calling. If you stay long enough to listen, your hardest experiences can become teachers. They do not get the final word, but they can guide you toward greater wisdom. You are allowed to stop mistaking self-protection for destiny. Sometimes protection becomes a cage if it never loosens. Sometimes the walls that kept you safe in one season become the walls that keep you from life in the next. This is why discernment matters. You can honor what once saved you without letting it govern you forever. You can thank the coping strategy without making it your identity. The Creator is patient with your growth. You can be patient with it too. The point is not to condemn the old way. The point is to outgrow what no longer serves you. Feel it in your soul. There's a future version of you who will be grateful you did not stop. That version of you may be calmer, wiser, gentler, and more grounded. They may not have all the answers either, but they will know the peace that comes from choosing with care. They will know that trying again did not destroy them. It refined them. They will know that fear was loud, but not final. They will know that the path forward was built one quiet, honest decision at a time. You're making room for that person now. Listen to this. You do not need to punish yourself into growth. Shame is not a sustainable teacher. It may force motion for a while, but it cannot produce wholeness. Wholeness comes from truth, compassion, and consistent action. So if you have been harsh with yourself, pause. Place a hand over your heart. Let this be a new beginning. Speak to yourself with the same care you would offer a friend who is trying again after a hard fall. That gentleness is not weakness. It is strength that has learned how to heal instead of harm. You might be waiting for motivation to appear like a sudden storm. Often it does not. More often, motivation follows action. You begin with a smaller step, and the step gives you a little clarity. That clarity gives you another step, then another. Momentum builds after honesty, not before it. So do not demand from yourself what the process cannot yet give. Start in humility. Start in patience. Start in whatever way preserves your peace. The goal is not to pressure yourself into motion. The goal is to move in a way that keeps your soul intact. There is a quiet dignity in trying again without dramatic announcements. No need to declare everything to the world. No need to convince everyone you have changed. No need to perform transformation. The deepest growth often happens in private, where no one is clapping. That is where character strengthens. That is where resolve becomes real. That is where your yes to life becomes more trustworthy than your fear. You do not need a spotlight to become someone new. You need sincerity. You need repetition. You need compassion for the process. That is enough. Breathe with me for a moment. Let the pressure soften. Let the old story of hopelessness loosen its hold. Let the idea that you must have every reason to stop lose its power. Yes, you have had reasons. Real ones. Painful ones. Heavy ones. But reasons to stop are not the same as a calling to stay stopped. Your life is asking for a different response now. Not denial. Not fake positivity. Simply a willing heart that says, I will not let my hardest days decide everything. That willingness opens a door. Remember this truth. Every time you honor your truth, you become a little more magnetic to peace. Every time you choose what is right for your soul, you become a little more aligned. Every time you pause before repeating pain, you create space for healing. The Creator is not asking you to become someone else. You are being invited to become more yourself, less frightened, less split, less controlled by old patterns. That becoming can be slow, it can be tender, it can be beautiful, and it begins with the courage to try one more time. You may not be ready for everything. That is okay. Readiness grows. Confidence grows. Trust grows. A life worth living is often assembled in fragments before it feels whole. Do not panic if your first attempt back is shaky. Shaky does not mean false. Shaky means human. Human means there is room to learn, room to grow, room to correct, room to deepen. The divine does not despise the shaky beginning. It honors the honest one. So begin with what is true, not with what is impressive. Truth is a better foundation than performance ever will be. There is a place in you that still believes in renewal. It may be quiet. It may be hidden beneath fatigue, but it is there. Trust that place. Feed that place. Protect that place. It is the part of you that says the story is not over. The part that still imagines a better morning. The part that still longs for peace. The part that still notices beauty. That longing is not foolish. It is evidence that your heart remembers something good. Do not lose that memory. It can become the map back to life. Listen to this. When you feel like you have every reason not to try, ask whether those reasons are keeping you safe or keeping you stuck. Sometimes they do both. That is the hard truth. Safety matters, but staying stuck can also become a hidden danger. It can shrink your world until you forget there was ever more to breathe in. So hold your reasons up to the light. Let wisdom examine them. Let compassion examine them. Let truth examine them. You do not need to throw away caution. You just need to make sure caution is not ruling your future. There is no deadline on becoming wiser. There is no deadline on beginning again. There is no deadline on healing. The world may hurry you, but your soul knows better. It knows that true change takes time. It knows that rushing can recreate the same pain in a new costume. So give yourself permission to move at the pace of honesty. If the step today is simply to admit what you have been feeling, that is a real step. If the step today is simply to rest, that is a real step too. Honesty counts. Feel it in your soul. You're not too late to become steady. You're not too damaged to become trustworthy. You're not too weary to become clear. You're not too behind to begin. Those are lies that shrink the horizon. The Creator has a wider view of your life than your tired mind does. There is still room for growth. There is still room for joy. There is still room for purpose. There is still room for a life that feels honest and peaceful. Let that widen your chest. Let soften your fear. Maybe the real miracle is not that every reason to stop exists. Maybe the miracle is that so does a reason to continue. A quiet reason. A faithful reason. A reason rooted in the part of you that still longs for wholeness. Follow that reason. It may not feel dramatic, but it is true. And truth is enough. Truth can carry you past the noise. Truth can help you take one more step. Truth can remind you that your story belongs to something larger than your worst moment. Your next step matters more than your last fear. Listen to this. Trying again is not proof that you were wrong to pause. It is proof that your life is still breathing. It is proof that your heart still wants what is good. It is proof that fear did not get the final word. The path ahead does not ask you to be fearless. It asks you to be present. Present enough to notice the next honest step. Present enough to let hope speak. Present enough to let the divine meet you where you are. That meeting can change everything, one gentle breath at a time. So take the step that honors your soul. Not the step that impresses others. Not the step that silences every fear. The step that feels aligned with truth. If it is a rest, rest. If it is a boundary, set it. If it is a conversation, have it. If it is a beginning, begin. If it is a prayer, pray. The important thing is that you do not let fear masquerade as wisdom forever. You have more in you than fear wants to admit. You have hope, and hope is stronger when you keep feeding it. Let this message settle now. You may have had every reason not to try, but you also have reasons to heal, reasons to grow, reasons to hope, reasons to move. Hold all of that with honesty. And if this moment has touched something in you, pause and reflect, pray, or connect with the divine in your own way. Let that quiet presence guide your next breath. If this message helped you, like, comment, and subscribe for more daily guidance, comfort, and encouragement. You're not finished. You are still becoming, and that is good news. Keep going gently, one honest choice at a time, because your next faithful step can open peace, build confidence, and remind your heart that change is still possible, and your life is still worthy of hope, love, and quiet forward movement today, always together.